Hello there, peoples. I figured I'd like to tell a strange but true story. Yeah, you're stealing the spotlight from me, ain't you? Okay. A strange but true story of when I was in the military. I went to join the military in 1980, and I was in the Marine Corps. So I go in, I go through basic, I tell them what I want to be, and they send me to a Marine base. Once I get there, we go through all the dialogue and everything and get settled in, and then we take our test so they know what we are good at and what we aren't good at. Well, they asked me if I want to go to a special ops program. I said, sure. Well, why not? You know, I'm in the Marines, so why not do a special ops? And so I'm trained. I'm a trained sniper, and I graduated 5th in my class. I wasn't quite that good, but you know, I was like in the top 10. So, you know, I was good at that. I was good at hand to hand. And they, in the test, they said each test that was given to each soldier was specified for that soldier's life before they got in the military. Mine was, you know, of course, I was on a foreigner. And they asked me specifically a question. They go, what happens when a predator got in and stole your livestock? And I said, I shot him between the eyes. And that's the answer I put. And so they questioned me further when they got to, well, they questioned everybody to explain their details and stuff. And when I told them that what I meant by that was it was a Sasquatch, I thought they were going to look at me like I was like insane, right? Really? Yeah. We've done everything to deter these creatures from stealing the livestock and the staying out of the crops and stuff, but it wasn't even possible, so we had to put them down. Well, how did you know to shoot them between the eyes, not in the eye? I said, well, my first thought was to shoot them in the eye. So I shot a round off, and I hit it right dead center in the eye, and boom, nothing happened. All I did was growl and got mad. And so I did it again, and then I popped off another one, a third one right after that. And this thing wasn't going down. So I figure I'm gonna do the dead center. It's got to be somewhere in the head. I'm gonna hit it right dead center between the eyes. I dropped him. He just dropped like a sack of potatoes. And it's very good, Private. You can go back to your barracks and, you know, and we'll be talking more about this later. I'm like, huh? Why would you be talking about me about something that, you know, you look at me like I'm nuts on? Well, anyway, move along here. And a couple days later, the captain comes to me, or staff sergeant comes to me and says, Wilbur, you're wanted over in the doc's office. And when I walked in there, I thought it was for a physical or something, but it was for, there was a general standing there, and there was a couple other officials that I've never seen before. They were civilian, but they were officials, military officials. Said, son, how would you like to go to a special base? I see you put down here you're in for 5 years. I said, yeah, why not? You know? So I'm going to, you know, at 0400 an hour, I want you on that DC-10 out there. Yes, sir. And I said, where am I going? That's what I need to know. What am I going to be doing? That's what I need to know. So me and about 40 other privates get on this DC-10 the next morning with all our gear. So we go from that base to an undisclosed location, which I can tell you now is the Alaskan Triangle. Is what is dubbed now the Alaskan Triangle. So we get in there. We're flying over top of all these trees and stuff. We're 500 miles in the middle of nowhere. I mean, there's no villages, nothing around us. And we were in the Huey, which is a helicopter. You know, it's a big helicopter. It's a transport. You know, we switched from the DC-10 to the Hueys. There were a couple of Hueys, you know, because we couldn't land the DC-10. The runway wasn't big enough. So we transferred planes at a different base, and then we came up to Alaska. And we're getting ready to land. I go, where the hell you landed at, pilot? And he goes, right here. I go, dude, there's trees there. We're on top of trees. You ain't gonna land there. You're gonna kill us all. Will you nuts? So I put my feet on the stabilizers. I grabbed the stick. I grabbed the throttle. I said, man, I'm taking over. Right then, I hear click, 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 click. The MPs had guns in my head. Private, get back there. You know, because I was trained to fly a Huey. You know, it's part of my training being a Marine. And no, we're landing right here. And we were about 600 feet, you know, over the treetop, over the canopy. And we started going down, 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 and here comes the treetops. I'm like, oh God, this guy's gonna kill us, you know. And all of a sudden, we go through like, what's a holograph? Now, back in 1980, we didn't have technology for 3D holographs. We didn't have that. We still don't have that. And when we get down below this holograph, it's like a 3D holograph that covers the entire base. When you get down below that, you can see the entire base. And right on one end of this base is this pyramid, you know, with a glowing blue type light emanate from it, you know. And being a good private and being a little mouthy, I said, sir, what's all this stuff here? It's on any no basis, okay? And I was a mouthy private. I was mouthy as hell. So anyway, we get down, we get debriefed. You now are in one of the most top secret bases known to the military. Officially, and even today, officially, the base does not exist. Okay? This is why they never declassified this base, because they never classified it. Because how can you classify something that don't exist? So, we're in a top secret military installation. Have no idea. When we land, I noticed it was a base. It was a regular base. They have these weird looking ships. They had this big black triangle ship that was just floating there. Just floating there. It was huge, you know. And around the entire perimeter of the base was this 40-foot high fence made of some kind of material I've never seen before. No one ever has. And it was strange. So of course no one's going to answer my questions what this stuff is. So we get out, we go, and we do our bunks, we unpack, we do what we gotta do. We come back for debriefing. You guys are here as a security detail. You are to guard the base from the enemy. We weren't even at war then with anybody, not in Alaska. Okay, so walk the perimeter. So we walk through, and the whole time we're walking the perimeter, we see these big boulders being hit and thrown at the fence and stuff, and it's like something or someone was testing the strength of the fence. And every time the fence was hit, it was like it gave off like a little electronic, like it was electrified or something. And it was definitely different. So after we got done, it was good couple hours walking this fence perimeter. Everything's secure. We come back, report secured. And now you gotta walk the outside, huh? Well, okay, that's part of our job. So we go out there, and I know what they mean. They give us these rifles that were military issue, but they're not like no rifle I have ever seen. They made the M16s look like pea shooters. I mean, anyway, and they were nothing that the civilian market has or the civilians even know about because they were alien technology. That's all I can say about that. And so we walked the perimeter. I'm like, what the hell? We got these weird looking weapons. And we're walking the perimeter. What's out here that keeps throwing rocks? Well, we spoke too soon. Now, I've seen Sasquatch before, 9-footers. They're pretty tall, pretty big, pretty, you know. These things were 16 to 24 feet, and that is no joke. These things were fucking monstrous. Now, that was the answer for the 40-foot fence. Apparently, years ago, that these creatures attacked the base and literally ripped the humans apart and ate them, and they've had taste for human blood ever since. Now, we didn't know this when we were out there, but we're walking, and then we see these things flying, these creatures flying around with big red eyes, and it's like one of the guys in my unit goes, "Those are Mothmen." I go, "Mothmen? Sasquatch? Where the fuck are we?" And so we get back from walking the perimeter, outside of the perimeter, and check in. Everything's cool, right? We just see these creatures, but they really don't do anything to us, you know. They just growl at us, look at us, we look at them. It was all cool, you know. And especially how big they were. I think if I even try to shoot at one of these creatures, it was so big it probably wouldn't even phase it. So we get back, we check in. Okay. And I go, Captain, we seen some crazy stuff out there. We seen a Sasquatch out there, but taller, twice as tall as I've ever seen. And we seen these things flying around with these big red eyes that one of the guys said was Mothman. Well, you weren't seeing things because that's what those creatures were. And this is where everyone's confused at this point, you know. I mean, they weren't aggressive toward us, so we just figured, okay. Well, it was the daytime is the reason. They don't become aggressive at night. Well, we don't find this out till later. So anyway, we come back in and we report in what we see and what we find. Everything's cool, you know. And now, this is the biggest shock of y'all. I hope you guys are ready for this. These are our precious people that we are guarding. Out walk these 4-foot gray alien creatures, the Asgard. Now, you've heard the name Asgard in many, many science fiction TV shows that we have, that name. That's where they got the name from. How they got the name, I don't know. But I've always believed that all these sci-fi shows, there's 1% truth, and that's the 1% truth. Now, they don't have any beaming technology. They said that that technology is way beyond their advancements. So, in fact, they said no race has because they've been, over the universe. Well, I never paid much attention to these creatures. I just accept. After a while, you get used to them after a while. They're just like people, but when they speak to you, you can't see their mouths move because they speak to you in telepathy. So, that being said, it's, so we're trying to figure out what's going on here. And of course, we go back to the barracks. Actually, we go to the mess hall, get some chow, and one of the guys from my unit stood up and goes, "These guys are messing with us. These guys are fucking with us, man. This shit ain't real. Those are people in costumes, man. Those are musicians and actors, man. They're just fucking with us." And everyone thought for sure that it was just the military sense of humor. Well, We thought it was a sense of humor. We found out about midnight when these creatures started attacking and becoming aggressive on the gate. That would explain all the 50 caliber machine guns lined up on down the fence line. Those were our weapons that we need, so all night long we defended against these creatures from trying to climb the fence and weasel their way in to get us, to get their dinner. We're their dinner. And because we're their dinner, they did everything they can. Now, we kept them pretty much at bay. And, or so we thought. Then these Mothman, out of nowhere, start flying overhead, dropping rocks and boulders and stuff on us. It was almost like we were fighting a strategic battle against a human being. These creatures are intelligent enough to do a strategic battle plan. It just was hard to explain. These creatures are intelligent as we are. They don't speak our language, but they as intelligent as we are. Someone left the gate open, and these creatures got in. And we started just opening fire, grenades, everything. These creatures are very hard to kill, extremely hard. So finally I remembered how I killed that one, right between the eyes. So the creatures that we killed, I had to empty one ammo box round of 50 caliber magazine into these creatures. And 3 of us targeted the 3 big ones, the 3 giant ones, the 24 footers. We got them down. And once they're down, all these other creatures started cannibalizing them. And started cannibalizing the soldiers that were there. What they do is they rip their prey apart. They eat the intestines, the heart, and the liver. They leave the rest. It's all the protein parts of the body for the nutrients. That's where the nutrients is. So while they were distracted feeding on the things that we killed and our soldiers that they killed, I got on the radio and said, guys, everyone grab your sniper rifle. It's 1 shot, 1 kill. These creatures go down, 1 between the eye. And sure enough, while they were distracted feeding, we started just popping these things off 1 at a time, right between the eyes. There must have been 75 or 80 of these things. I don't lost count. Finally, we got the last one down, and the people near the gate was able to go secure the gate and shut the gate so no more can come in, because there was plenty more out there. It was almost like they were coming in droves, but we got the gate shut. Loss of life, 20 out of 40 people in the unit lost their lives. May they rest in peace. I, on our other hand, survived it. It was my quick thinking that saved what was left. So we spent 3 or 4 days cleaning up the base of all the bodies. We threw all the bodies in one big pile and burned everything. And those creatures are very heavy. We had to have a couple of trucks tow one just to the burning pile. I mean, they're 2,000 pounds. Easy, especially the big ones. Mothman are like vegetarians, but they will attack. they never, they will attack, so. And then this is where it gets weird. The captain was killed, and so everyone looked up to me. By then, I was a staff sergeant, so people were looking up to me, and I didn't really know how to command. I never really learned a command position. So what happened was I had to go and figure out what I was going to do, how I was going to command these guys. And that's when the little Asgard creature come up to me and said, "Staff Sergeant Wilbur?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Follow me." And I was told that in case of an emergency, I was going to show you what to do. Now you tell me, after everyone's dead. Takes me into the pyramid. First time I've ever been in there. And he says, "You have to press this button." So I pressed this button, and it was the evacuation button. So I pressed it, and I waited for a response. There's another light. All it was another light. I was waiting for it to come on. And as soon as that came on, it wasn't until 3-4 days later that someone responded and it kicked the light on. And so here comes the evacuation team. Now, the evacuation team had these special suits they were wearing, and they had some really tripped out, strange helicopters. They were futuristic helicopters, jets on them, everything. I said, "No, Huey has anything like that." Remember now, this is 1985. And the captain gets out and says that, "Are you Staff Sergeant Wilbur?" I said, "Yes." "How did you know?" "We keep in contact." "Huh?" Okay, I didn't. The whole thing, it just blew my mind. The whole base blew my mind. So they evacuated all of us, all the scientists except for the Grays. They wanted to stay behind to finish their project, whatever they were working on. We never knew what they were working on. So, so we get in a helicopter, and they said, "You have a meeting in Washington, D.C. We're supposed to fly you and your unit to Washington, D.C. That's so great. I finally get to meet Reagan in person. So we get there, and I said, "But it's about an 8-hour flight." "Not anymore, it ain't. It's only about 2.5, 3 hours. From Alaska to Washington, D.C., 2.5, 3 hours. Man, those things, newer choppers, they can move. They can move like the wind, man. So we get to Washington, D.C., and we land on the White House lawn. We go in, and we all enter the Oval Office. Now, mind you, there's 20 of us, so the Oval Office isn't as big as what it looks like on TV. It's rather quite small. So we're in there, and everyone, the captain that was in charge of all this, or the captain and lieutenant, said, "Okay, soldiers, stand on your feet and salute the president as he walks in." Well, here comes this short guy. We have no idea who he is. We just sat there. And they're like, "All you soldiers want to be court-martialed? For what?" "You gotta stand and salute the president." "No, we don't. Where is he? Where's Reagan at? We don't see Reagan anywhere." That's when we found out. It was 20 years later. When we left the base, it was 1985. By the time that same day, we got to the White House. It was 20 years later, a time distortion. bringing me up to level, bringing us up to level, computers, cell phones. No wonder I couldn't find a payphone anywhere. They didn't have them anymore. Everyone have these cell phones. That's why I don't know how to edit. I'm not computer savvy. I'm still trying to learn stuff, you know, catch up. Now, people think that the story is bogus. Well, if the story is bogus, why did I receive the Medal of Valor for saving my platoon? You tell me. I'm Jim with Life's Adventures, keeping it real.